Becky borrowed everything: shoes, dresses, even wigs. But this time, borrowing nearly got her arrested for murder. Becky was the kind of friend that borrowed everything, from pants to bras to clothes, everything. Becky borrowed, loudly, cheerfully, without shame. Your wig? Just for the weekend. Your dress? She would return it. Your good jeans? Listen, she just needed them for one night. And yes, they might come back a little wrinkled, but that was the price of friendship, wasn't it? Becky, her friend Amina, had warned her more times than either of them could count. Stop borrowing people's things. One day something bad will happen and nobody will believe you. Becky always had the same answer, delivered with a grin and zero remorse. He that is in me is greater than he that is in the clothes, Amina. The clothes cannot kill me. Amina never found it funny. Becky never stopped saying it. That was Monday. By Thursday morning, Becky was in handcuffs. It started with a blue hoodie. She couldn't even remember whose it was. That was the thing about borrowing. After a while, everything blurred together into one large cheerful pile of other people's property. She had worn it twice and suspected nothing, so it came as a surprise to her when the officers pulled it from her wardrobe. Something fell out of the front pocket. An AirPod. One. Just the left one. She had never seen it before in her life. That's not mine, she said immediately. They kept searching, and what they found next made Becky's knees buckle. A small laminated card, the kind students carried for ID purposes, tucked deep inside the lining of a skirt she had borrowed 3 weeks ago and completely forgotten about. The name on the card was Sola Adeyemi. Becky didn't know anyone named Sola Adeyemi, but the police did. Sola Adeyemi was 17 years old. She had been reported missing 6 days ago, and the last confirmed sighting anyone had of her, she was wearing a blue hoodie. The room went very quiet. Becky whispered, "I borrowed it. I swear I don't even know whose it is. I just borrowed it. I borrow everything. Ask anyone. Ask my roommates. They will tell you." "Come with us," the officer said, not listening to her words. They asked her to list the people she had borrowed from, which she did, but everyone denied it. Their roommates denied it too. They had never seen them in hoodies. The only person they had seen in a blue hoodie was Becky. The cell was small and cold and smelt like concrete and bleach. Becky sat on the edge of the metal bench and tried to think clearly, but her thoughts kept slipping. She wasn't a killer. She had never even met Sola Adeyemi, but she was wearing a dead girl's hoodie and carrying a dead girl's ID card, and she could not explain either one of those things in a way that didn't make her sound like she was lying. Kelvin, her boyfriend, came on the second day. He pressed his hand against the cold bars and told her he believed her. "I know you. You are reckless and you never return anything, and you have zero organizational skills, but you are not this. You are not a killer." She almost laughed. She almost cried. She did neither. She just nodded and held his hand until visiting hours ended. Other visitors were less kind. One girl, someone Becky had considered a close friend, leaned toward the bars and smiled in a way that had nothing warm in it. "You see it now? You see what happens when you borrow without returning? I am very happy you fell into this trap. That is what you get from taking my bone-straight wig and returning it shorter than ever. Good for you." Becky said nothing. She had learned in 2 days in that cell that some people don't come to comfort you. They come to confirm what they already believed about you. She stopped expecting comfort. She started thinking. A blue hoodie, an AirPod, an ID card hidden so deep inside a borrowed skirt that you would only find if you were looking, or if you put it there. Someone put it there. Becky began to replay every interaction from the week before her arrest. Who had been near her wardrobe? Who had handed her clothes without being asked? Who had suggested she take something just this once, just for the weekend? And then she remembered. Chisom had given her the skirt. Not borrowed, given. She'd said, "Take it," folding it neatly, placing it in her hands with a smile. "It doesn't fit me anymore." Becky hadn't thought anything of it at the time. Why would she? Chisom was her friend, her good friend, the one who sat with her at meals, who helped her rehearse excuses for the things she'd borrowed, who knew better than anyone exactly how careless Becky was with other people's things, exactly how easy it would be to frame her. Becky sat with that realization for a long time. Then she asked to speak to the detective handling her case. She told him about Chisom, about the skirt, about the fact that no one had asked yet how a hidden ID card ends up in a lining so deep you'd need to sew it in, about the fact that Becky's fingerprints were nowhere on the card because she had never touched it, but someone's had to be. The detective listened. He didn't promise anything, but he listened. But you know how lazy police can be. 3 weeks later, they arrested Chisom. The full story came out in pieces, and each piece was worse than the last. Chisom and Sola had known each other, a conflict that had started small and grown into something ugly and unforgivable. When it ended the way it ended, Chisom panicked. She had needed someone to point at, someone whose reputation for taking things without thinking made her the perfect suspect. She had chosen Becky. Everything was deliberate except for one thing. She hadn't expected Becky to think. Becky walked out of the station on a Tuesday afternoon. The sun was aggressive and the air smelled like exhaust fumes and street food, and she stood on the pavement for a long moment, just breathing. Kelvin was waiting with her school bag and a meat pie, and nothing to say, which was exactly right. She went back to school. People stared. Some apologized. Most just moved on, the way people do when the story stops being interesting. The girl from the next room returned a blouse Becky had borrowed 8 months ago, freshly washed, neatly folded. Becky held it for a moment, then walked over and gave it back. "Keep it," she said. "It always suited you more." She never forgot Sola Adeyemi. She looked her up, the family, the memorial page, the photo of a girl with a wide smile and long braids who had deserved none of what happened to her. Becky didn't know what to do with that grief exactly. It didn't belong to her and it never would. But she carried it anyway. She figured she owed Sola at least that much. Amina found her in the corridor one evening, just standing there. "You okay?" Amina asked. Becky thought about it. Actually, thought about it, which was new. "I will be," she said. Amina nodded slowly. Then, after a pause, "So, does this mean you're done borrowing people's clothes?" Becky looked at her. I looked at Amina's very nice jacket. I looked back at Amina. Yes," she said. And for the first time in weeks, she smiled. A real one. If you were Becky, sitting in that cell, knowing you are innocent but unable to prove it, what's your first move? Drop it in the comments.